Hello there, and welcome to this little video I'm recording a few days after the big news happened about Lucasfilm and Disney. So, as many of you have heard, that Lucasfilm has been bought for around $4 billion by Disney. It's going to be paid in both cash and stocks of Disney, and George Lucas is now a very, very wealthy man, as he already was. So he's now retiring and moving on to retirement type things. I'm curious what he will do with his cash and with his time, as money and time is a fun thing to have. Anyways, some thoughts here about just the general acquisition, the general purchase out of Lucasfilm. I was quite delighted that this happened. So why was I delighted by this? I was delighted by this in the fact that it felt that Lucasfilm, it was kind of stagnant, right? They had this Clone War thing going on. Lucas Arts hasn't really made any games of note. I think iPad and iPhone is an obvious way they should go, but they never touched that. And it felt like it was just an old company that wasn't doing anything cool anymore. And Disney is a company that's doing stuff that's cool. They're doing the Avengers. They're doing the whole Marvel thing. They're doing some really ambitious stuff with Pixar, I think. Maybe not ambitious, but they're doing great work with Pixar, great work with Marvel. And I think Disney will be a good suitor of Lucasfilm, of Star Wars. And I think Disney knows not to anger the fans enough to make these films worthy films, good films. And the interesting thing is, we heard on the same call that we're going to have a new Star Wars trilogy, episode 7, 8, and 9. So I'm going to talk on a different video about that. But anyways, it's very exciting to see that in just a couple of years, we're going to have another Star Wars film coming out. And I'll talk about that on the next video here. What disappointed me with all of this, though, was that it was all about Star Wars. Indiana Jones was not a part of this at all. It was all Star Wars all the time. Indiana Jones is a huge franchise. Not nearly as big as Star Wars, mind you. Not nearly as big. But it's still a very, very big franchise. I think that I think Indiana Jones could be spun off into its own division within Disney. That every couple years they make a new Indiana Jones film, kind of in the style of a James Bond franchise, where they start fresh. Indiana Jones is no longer Harrison Ford. He's a young guy that perhaps isn't really, really young, but he's a guy that can be the same age throughout all the Indiana Jones films. So he doesn't age up like James Bond stays the same pretty much, at least that in the story-wise. He's not designed to be an older James Bond now that it's now 50 years old. But in fact, he's the same James Bond. So I think that would be awesome to see if Lucasfilm could, at some point, turn Indiana Jones into the American version of a James Bond thing, but done with the archaeological twist to it. And I think that has true potential there. That's something really exciting. I'm very excited to see what they do with LucasArts, to see if we get like Rogue Squadron or some other video games for iPad. I think that would be huge to see the N64 classics make their way to modern gaming devices. And I'm very curious to see iTunes. Will we finally see Star Wars appear in iTunes? We have yet to see any of those. We recently got the Indiana Jones films in iTunes, but Star Wars remains absent. Episodes 1 through 6 are nowhere to be found digitally, not on Amazon through a digital download or on iTunes. And that's really disappointing, and I hope that changes. I'm also curious to see if we'll finally see an HD version of the original unaltered trilogy. That would be a cool thing for Disney to release, and I think that may come at some point. So these are just some general thoughts about Disney and Lucasfilm becoming one. I think this is a great move, a move that will bring Star Wars into the next generation of filmmakers and of people. So I'm very excited to see where this all goes. I'd also be curious to see if we get a Star Trek-styled TV show where it's kind of a live-action thing, and I think that has potential as well. So lots of potential here, and I'm very excited to see what comes out of this. Early days, as it was announced just a few days ago. So thanks for tuning in to this video about me just talking about Disney and Lucasfilm. Stay tuned for another video where I'll be discussing the whole Star Wars Episode 7 and what I think that could be. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Aloha.